What's the 411 on gestational diabetes? What causes gestational diabetes? Sometimes on paper, it doesn't even make sense why this person or that person would be diagnosed with gestational diabetes. They're doing everything right, diet is on point, they exercise, they're doing all the things, and yet they're still diagnosed with gestational diabetes. 50% of women that are diagnosed with gestational diabetes are likely to get type 2 diabetes in the future. I was scared. I couldn't wait to talk to the dietitian and ask about that. It made me feel extremely guilty for one, having it, and two, for potentially passing this on. Just thinking about potentially putting my baby at risk is just really heartbreaking to me. Cheers, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. I'm trying to set up the vibe to be a very calming, zen beginning of this video. I know this can be such a stressful subject to talk about. If you're watching this video and you've recently failed your 1 hour and 3 hour glucose test, I am here to tell you I completely understand if you're feeling stressed, guilty, sad, like a failure. I get it. I've felt all of those feelings, plus angry, really all of the above. So I really wanted to get on here as soon as possible, right after I had a call with my dietitian, to try to put your mind at ease and answer some potential questions you may have about, what's next? Why is this happening to me? What's the 411 on gestational diabetes? Let's start out with my first question that I had from my dietitian, which I think is a question a lot of people may have, which is, what causes gestational diabetes? I think that, when we think of gestational diabetes, we think diet, exercise, drinking enough water, maybe family history, all of the above. And if you've been doing all the right things in your pregnancy, which is how I felt throughout this pregnancy, and also maybe you've passed the hour glucose test your previous pregnancy like I did, you may be a little bit confused as to why you didn't pass this time, and you may feel like a failure, like you did something wrong. I literally went through every single meal I've ever had up until now, because I kept just finding reasons to blame myself for being diagnosed with gestational diabetes. I just could not believe it. Sometimes on paper, it doesn't even make sense why this person or that person would be diagnosed with gestational diabetes. They're doing everything right, diet is on point, they exercise, they're doing all the things, and yet they're still diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And the reason for that is because sometimes it has nothing to do with those things. It really has everything to do with the fact that you're pregnant and your body has changed. The way that your body is functioning right now may not be the same as it was before. And every pregnancy is different. So I'm going to read what causes our pregnancy hormones to not produce insulin in the body in late pregnancy, which is why sometimes we are told to do the glucose test between 24 to 28 weeks. Our hormones, estrogen, cortisol, and human placental lactogen can block insulin. When insulin is blocked, it's called insulin resistance. Glucose can't go into the body cells The glucose stays in the blood and makes the blood sugar levels go up. And that is what happens a lot of times. You know, if everything else that you're doing is right, sometimes it's as simple or as complicated as your pregnancy hormones not functioning properly because your body changes to protect the baby. You know, blame it on the placenta. So that is basically a long story short for what causes gestational diabetes. Normally, it does go back to normal after you deliver the baby because, again, this happens because of the pregnancy. Especially if you never had an issue with diabetes or anything like that, then after you deliver your baby, your blood sugar levels should go back to normal. Normally, they give you a time frame as to when to go back and do the test again because they want to make sure you are okay after you deliver the baby, which led me to my next question. So, of course, prior to talking to my dietitian, I talked to Dr. Google. Of course I did. Of course, Dr. Google is the worst doctor there is, but you know, I could not help myself. I was very curious and I needed answers. So I Googled a bunch of things. And one of the things that popped up on Google was when you're pregnant, if you are diagnosed with gestational diabetes, 50% of women that are diagnosed with gestational diabetes are likely to get type 2 diabetes in the future. That was really scary for me to read. I was scared. I was scared. I was, kind of upset. It was like an upsetting thing to read. 50% is a big number, too. It's not like, yeah, 10% of women might get it. No, it's 50% of women normally get it. So that was a scary statistics for me. And I couldn't wait to talk to the dietitian and ask about that. I asked my dietitian if that was true or if that was just Dr. Google trying to scare us. And he said, yes, the statistics are correct. However, normally it happens like 10, 15 years later after the pregnancy. And if you do maintain a healthy lifestyle, you shouldn't have a problem. So if you're not overweight, if you're taking care of yourself, if you're exercising, if you're maintaining a healthy lifestyle, you should be okay and hopefully avoid having the type 2 diabetes. But that is really important to keep in mind because you don't want to go through that in the future. So, just take care of yourself and you should be okay. If I'm looking at my laptop, it's because I have notes on here so I don't miss anything when talking to you guys. If you still aren't sure if you failed or passed a glucose test, basically when you get the 3-hour glucose test results, if you failed more than 2, then that means you are diagnosed with gestational diabetes. If you failed 1, I believe they just have you do another test again in the future. And I believe if you fail just the 3-hour might be one of the most important ones, then they might diagnose you with gestational diabetes. So, just something to keep in mind when you're reading it, if you're wondering how to read the results. Another question that was keeping me up at night that I ran through Google, I read that if you are diagnosed with gestational diabetes, that there is a potential that your child may be obese or diagnosed with diabetes in the future. That was really scary too. That was probably more scary than me being diagnosed with it in the future because it made me feel extremely guilty for 1, having it, and 2, for potentially passing this on to my son who has nothing to do with this. It's not his fault, So I was really sad when I heard this, and I couldn't wait to also ask the dietitian to find some answers as to whether this is true or not. And I guess a long answer short here is, this is why when you get diagnosed with gestational diabetes, you have to track it daily up until the end of your pregnancy. And I'm going to go over this later in this video and talk about what your day-to-day will be like. Basically, as long as you are able to keep your blood sugar levels down throughout the rest of your pregnancy, which you will be able to, because through your diet, I think 90% of women are able to do this. So hopefully you are in that percentile, and I am too. So as long as you're able with your diet to control your blood sugar levels, then you will not have this issue. Like, you will not pass this on to your child. It's only when this issue goes untreated that this can happen. And I'm sure if for some reason the diet can't fix your blood sugar levels, there are other ways to go about it. So don't worry if, don't think about the worst case scenario here. But if you are thinking worst case scenario, I'm sure there is always a way. I think the key here is to be proactive. And don't overlook this as a silly thing that you got during pregnancy. It's obviously very important to take care of it. I'm not looking forward to pricking my fingers every single day. I am actually terrified of it. But that is what's going to let me know how my blood sugar level is doing, and give me that peace of mind knowing that I am doing everything I can to have a healthy pregnancy. Another way that your OB will keep track of this, or your midwife, is by doing extra sonograms, most likely just to make sure the baby is not getting too big. And if he or she is getting too big, you may just have to not go full term because of it, just to prevent complications. That's something to keep in mind. But again, these are all like worst case scenarios, and I like to keep a positive mind and hope that the diet itself will be enough to regulate the gestational diabetes, because like I said earlier, it is for 90% of women. So you just gotta really take the diet seriously, and you should be okay. And the diet is something I'll go over as well later in this video, so stay tuned. My next question was, do I need to check my blood sugar levels 4 times a day? And the answer to that is a simple yes, you do. Normally, what you will do is you will check it first thing in the morning when you wake up, so fasting. And after that, once you have breakfast, 2 hours after breakfast, you will check it again. And then 2 hours after lunch, and 2 hours after dinner. So 4 times a day, you do have to prick your fingers and check your blood sugar level. Normally you log it because you want to make sure you're keeping track of what they are. This is really helpful because you're going to learn so much about your body and your food patterns, like what causes your blood sugar level to go up and down. And then you adjust your diet based on what works best for you. And this is something that you can take with you after pregnancy, because you're talking to a dietitian pretty much the rest of your pregnancy now. So the positive of this is that you can utilize that professional to your advantage. So that is how I'm staying positive and seeing the situation with the glass half full. I spent the whole week in a victim mentality, and I'm ready to get out of it. Being in that state of mind doesn't get you anywhere. It just makes you depressed. It makes you sad. And, these are all things that you also don't want to pass on to your baby. So, right now, the best thing to do is stay positive and know that at least there is a way to regulate this, and that you at least now know and you can keep track of it. And you have a dietitian like in the tip of your fingers, ready to help you in anything that comes up. Next question that I had for the dietitian was, what if my blood sugar levels are all perfect? Like, I start doing this, I check my blood sugar levels, and it's all good. There are no issues. I am apparently doing all the right things. My diet is great. There's really nothing different that I could be doing here. What happens then? Do I stop needing to check my blood sugar every day? The answer to that was no. No, because as your pregnancy progresses, you are more likely to have issues with your insulin levels. So it's important to just keep track of it regardless in case anything changes. Again, like I said earlier, it's too important to just dismiss. It's too important to not go that extra mile. If things look good, that's great. That is a great positive thing, but keep doing it. Don't stop, because again, you just don't know. Pregnancy can be so unpredictable sometimes, and your body just can act differently at different times of your pregnancy. I mean, the beginning of my pregnancy, I didn't have any issues. Here I am at 26 weeks, and now I do. So what's to say that at 36 weeks or 32 weeks or 34 weeks, things aren't going to change again. You don't know. I'd rather not leave things to chance, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. It's just too much of a risk. So you're probably curious as to how your day-to-day is going to go now moving forward. And basically, you are going to start tracking what you eat, but it's really not that complicated. I don't know if this was specifically for me or if this is for everyone, but my dietitian basically wanted me to focus initially on carbs, how much carbs I'm having for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. So for me, and again, please consult with your own dietitian and OB on this, because it could be different for you depending on your medical history and so forth. But just as a base point, for me, the carbs are going to be anywhere between 30 to 45 grams of carbs. Let me see here just to be sure. Yeah, 30 to 45 grams of carbs per breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I'm tracking my carbs, and they give you a list of carbs you can have, a list of vegetables that you can have, a list of fruits, protein, dairy, and I feel like, fats that you can have. So they're all in there. It's very easy to read, very easy to keep track of it. So for example, on the carbs, you see here, it says, 15 grams of carbs are the measurements for all of these carbs below. So okay, if I need 30 to 45, then if half a cup of quinoa is 15, then twice that is 30 grams. I want to do 30 grams of carbs for breakfast, that's what I can do, or for lunch or for dinner. And then for snacks, I'm allowed to have 3 snacks a day. And what I was told to have carbs for snacks is anywhere between 15 to 30 grams of carbs per snack. It's important to have the carbs with some sort of protein. One thing that I've learned through this whole process so far, even though it has just begun, is that a balanced diet truly will help you regulate your blood sugar levels. And even though I pride myself in eating healthy, my diet wasn't very wholesome as far as, eating the vegetables that I needed to eat, eating enough carbs per day. I didn't have carbs for breakfast. I don't normally have carbs for breakfast most days. I was telling my dietitian, normally twice a week, I have like a slice of bread or bagel for breakfast with my 3 eggs and half avocado, because that is normally like leg day and I need more energy for leg day. But I should have carbs for breakfast too. It should be a balanced meal. You should have, for every meal, you should think, like, you should see in your plate protein, carbs, vegetables, and maybe healthy fats of some sort of healthy fats. That's a nice healthy diet. And I don't know why I wasn't having that, but I just, it wasn't intentional, like I was trying to lose weight or anything, but I just simply wasn't having it. This morning I had a slice of multigrain Dave's bread with peanut butter on it, and that was about 22 grams of carbs. So it was still a little below my carb goal, but I'm getting there. I'm learning how to get that to be the 30 to 45 grams of carbs that I need per meal. That goes to show that, really what I thought was a healthy diet before, maybe it wasn't entirely a healthy diet. It was healthy, but it wasn't as wholesome as I thought it would be. And looking back, when you think about your energy level and your mood and all of those things, it all has to do with a wholesome, balanced diet. You have to have that balance. I plan on doing a video on a day in the life with gestational diabetes once I have it down. I haven't started pricking my fingers to check my blood sugar level yet, because my pharmacy does not have it in stock right now. So I think they will have it by Monday. So hopefully Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday will probably be my first full day tracking my blood sugar level for the first time. So I plan on filming that for you guys. I also plan on filming what I'm eating now. Created a whole grocery list for this weekend with all the things that were on the list provided to me that I like and think would be nice to have. I'm excited to get started on this. I am staying positive here. I truly believe everything's going to be okay with me and you. You just have to make sure you are following instructions, and that if you have any questions, that you're asking questions to your doctor or your dietitian. Use your resources. Make sure you track your diet. Take it seriously, because it truly is serious. And you will be okay. This is temporary. And if you were living a healthy lifestyle before, you have nothing to worry about, because that is the most important thing, is to, coming off of this, keep living a healthy lifestyle. And the way that I am looking at this is that I'm going to come off of this even better than I was before. Like before, I thought I was living a healthy lifestyle. Now, I don't know. I am going to start crying. Sorry, I still feel guilty for maybe potentially not doing the right things, even though I know that it's not anything I did wrong. But just thinking about potentially putting my baby at risk is just really heartbreaking to me. But I know I did everything I could. So, um, dang pregnancy hormones, I swear. I was at the library with my son today, and at the end of the reading class, they do like bubbles. And so all the kids, all the little kids are playing with the bubbles at the end, like popping the bubbles and everything. And I literally like had tears in my eyes watching Kaden like just be so mesmerized by the bubbles because it's something so simple. Um, and it's just so beautiful how pure kids are, you know. Um, but I think also part of that emotion came out because, you know, it's been a really stressful week. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here, even though I'm trying to be really positive, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys that I didn't have my moments this week, you know, that I didn't stress out, that I didn't feel so guilty, and that I don't still, part of me doesn't still feel guilty, even though I know it has nothing to do with anything I did. And it's, you know, literally my body just kind of shutting down certain things so that I could have a healthy baby. I will do whatever I need to do to have a healthy pregnancy. And I know if you're watching this, you will too. And, you know, at the end of the day, you just have to focus on what you can control. Like the situation is what it is. You are diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And now what can you do about it? You know, what can you do to regulate it? And that's it. And just focus on that and nothing more, because really there's nothing more you can do. And feeling guilty is really not going to help. You know, I'm just telling you what I should be telling myself. As you guys can see here, you know, we are supporting one another in the process. Sorry about being emotional. I wasn't really planning on it. I've been really, I don't know, I think it's just all coming out today because this whole week I've kept it in. And it's all coming out because I finally got my answers and things are kind of coming to fruition. And, you know, even though I haven't started doing the test yet, I started my diet last night and this morning. So, you know, it's just now that my body is relaxing, I feel like my emotions are like surfacing. And it's okay. Like, you know, it's okay to feel however way you want to feel too. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you need to have a good cry about this, have a good cry about it, like I just did, because it does make you feel better. Honestly, it really does. And, you know, it's best to let your emotions out than to keep them in, right? For anything in life, really. So stay tuned for a video of day in the life with me probably struggling to prick my finger because I'm terrified of doing that. So if you are too, you're not alone. I did get some tricks of how to make it less painful from my dietitian, so I'll be sharing those if they work. So we'll test them out first and I'll let you know if they work. And then, yeah, I'll share how I am tracking my foods, what I'm eating. Maybe I'll give you guys some ideas of how to, you know, what to eat if you're wondering how to switch things up a little bit. I know I didn't talk about I talked about the carbs and how much carbs per meal, and I didn't talk about the protein and vegetables, but that's because we're more loose on that for right now. But normally protein, we're looking at anywhere between 4 to 6 ounces of protein per meal. And vegetables, think of like half a plate of vegetables. And fats, for me, my dietitian is not so worried about it because I really haven't gained much weight this pregnancy. But again, like it may be a different case for each person. So maybe you need to regulate fats a little bit more than I do. Right now, I don't. And also, honestly, I don't have a lot of fats. My only fats that I have are the avocado during the week. So I have that with my eggs and, you know, the olive oil on top, which I do on tomatoes, avocado, but it's just a little thing of olive oil. I don't do a lot of olive oil. Not that it's bad for you, because it's healthy fats. But that is pretty much it for now. I will keep you guys posted. If I forgot anything, which I feel like I have, let me know if you have any questions in the comments below that I did not go through. Maybe I can answer those for you guys if I had that conversation with my dietitian. But again, I am not a doctor. I am not a nurse. I'm not a dietitian. So please make sure that if you have any questions or any concerns about anything that you heard in this video, to consult with a professional before doing anything or changing your diet moving forward. It is important to have someone that is with you throughout this process. You can't really do it alone. I hope that this video was helpful and put your mind at ease. I hope the crying didn't freak you out. I swear I'm okay. I think it's just, like I said, it's just been an emotional week for me, and I kept it in. I kept it in. And so, you know, my emotions just needed to come out, and I guess they came out on this video. But I am okay, and you know, I'm looking at the positive side of things here, and I'm looking forward to improving my diet and to living an even healthier lifestyle in the future due to this experience. And I thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you have any additional things that could be helpful about gestational diabetes that you have learned through a past pregnancy or current pregnancy, please let us know in the comment below. We'd love to hear what you have to share. And don't forget to share with a mom friend if you do have someone in your life right now that, you know, is going through a similar thing. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.